Welcome to the Explainer. We're all about breaking down big ideas.
You ever wonder about this? Why do some great ideas just take off while others totally flop? I mean, you see a brilliant new product, a super clever ad campaign, and you think that's going to be huge. But then crickets. And then some other thing, something you totally wrote off, just explodes. What's going on there? Well, here's the thing. The difference between a hit and a miss, it's usually not about luck. It's a plan. Yup, behind almost every single great launch, there's a great blueprint. And that plan, that blueprint, it's got a name. Research design. Seriously, think of it just like an architect's drawings before anyone even thinks about pouring concrete. It's the detailed strategy that takes you from, I have a vague idea, all the way to a concrete, actionable answer. It's how you make sure you're building something people will actually use and love. Okay, so this right here, this is our roadmap for the whole investigation. We're going to start over on the left with what's called exploratory research. This is where the clues are all over the place and the mystery's just starting to form. And then we'll work our way to the right into conclusive research, which is where we build our case and actually find the proof. All right, let's dive right in. So our investigation kicks off at the very beginning. When you just have a hunch, the problem itself isn't even clear yet. You just have this feeling, right? That either something's not quite working, or maybe there's this massive opportunity just sitting there, but you can't really put your finger on it. You definitely don't have all the facts, and honestly, you probably don't even know the right questions you should be asking. And that is exactly where you pull out your first detective tool, exploratory research. Now, the goal here is not to find the final answer. Not at all. It's all about gathering those first clues. Listening to the whispers in the market, maybe forming a few working theories, really just getting a better handle on the whole situation. So here's the key difference, and it's a big one. Check out the left side, exploratory research. It is meant to be vague and flexible. The results you get are just tentative, they're hunches, hypotheses. It's all about opening things up. Now look at the right side, conclusive research. It's the total opposite. It's structured, it's formal, and it's designed to do one thing, narrow everything down to a final, concrete answer. Let's make this real. Take Waterpik, the shower head company. They wanted to design a new one, but instead of just sitting in a boardroom and guessing what people might like, they started with a really important admission. They honestly didn't know what makes for a perfect shower experience. So what did they do? They started exploring. They didn't just blast out a survey with a bunch of checkboxes. No, they had real, deep conversations. They talked to experts, they ran these cool innovation sessions with actual customers, and they held focus groups. And because they kept it so flexible and open-ended, they uncovered stuff they never would have guessed, like the fact that people wanted 7 very unique and specific spray settings. Who knew? Okay, so that leads us right into the next stage. Once you've got those hunches, those early hypotheses from your exploring, you gotta see if they actually hold up. It's time to build the case file, and you need hard data to do it. And this brings us to descriptive research. Its whole job is to paint a super detailed, super accurate picture of the market. This is the real legwork of the investigation, right? Methodically gathering the facts. It's all about answering those classic questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. But, and this is super important, how you gather that data really matters, because it can tell you 2 totally different stories. Are you just taking a single snapshot in time, or are you watching the whole movie unfold? So that first approach, the snapshot, that's called a cross-sectional study. And if you look at this table here, at first glance, it looks like brand A and brand B are pretty much tied, right? Both have 300 customers at this specific moment. Seems pretty equal. Case closed, you'd think. But hold on. When we watch the movie, instead of just looking at that one photo, and this is called using longitudinal data, a completely different story emerges. We're tracking the same people over time, and what do we see? Brand A is actually in big trouble. It's hemorrhaging customers, losing 50 of them, and guess where they're going? Straight to brand B. That snapshot completely missed the most critical part of the story, the actual movement between brands. Okay, so let's recap. You've got your hunches from exploring, you've painted a really detailed picture with your data, you've even spotted some pretty interesting patterns. But there is one final, absolutely crucial step to truly cracking the case. You've found a pattern. You see that when you do X, Y seems to happen. But here's the million-dollar question. Is that just a coincidence, or did X really cause Y? Being able to prove that connection, that's the holy grail. It's the highest level of evidence you can possibly get. And that is the job of our final tool, causal research. So if exploratory research was gathering clues and descriptive was building the case file, then causal research is the controlled experiment in the lab. It's what gives you the smoking gun. It's designed for one thing and one thing only, to prove cause and effect. Here's a super simple way to think about how this works. Let's say you want to know if better sales training actually causes higher sales. Well, you can't just train everybody and hope for the best, right? Too many other things could be affecting sales. So you run a controlled experiment. You take two groups of very similar stores. You give the special training to just one group, that's your test group. The other group gets nothing, that's your control. The key here is keeping everything else the same. Then, after a while, you measure the difference. And now any difference in sales, you can be pretty darn sure it was because of the training. So there you have it, the 3 stages of our investigation: exploratory, descriptive, and causal. Now let's see how a real company, Citibank, put this entire playbook into action to launch a super successful product. You can really see the whole process laid out in Citibank's journey. It all started with a hunch, the exploratory phase. They thought senior citizens might have some unmet financial needs, so they used focus groups just to listen and understand. Then came the case file, the descriptive part. They ran surveys to figure out just how big this market was and what features people would want. And finally, the smoking gun. Before they spent millions on a national rollout, they ran a causal experiment. They launched the new product in just 6 test market branches to see if it would actually work. You see how each step built on the last, reducing their risk every step of the way? And that's really what this is all about. A good research design isn't just a bunch of extra paperwork or pointless process. It's the framework. It's the blueprint that separates just guessing from actually knowing. It's how businesses move from making risky bets to making smart decisions backed by real evidence. So the next time you see a brand new product totally crush it in the market, ask yourself, was that just luck? Or are you now able to see the blueprint behind it, the careful investigation, the plan that made it all happen?